Kadosh, Boker or Bekkim Halacha 4 day 16. We are on Siman 25, page 41. Halacha Kaf Daled. After putting on one's tefillin, one should say the Parashiot Av Kadesh Lichol Bechol Vayachi Vehaya. While wearing the tefillin each day, one recites all 4 passages in which the mitzvah of tefillin is mentioned. This practice is recommended by the Ramban, Rabbi Moshe ben Nachman, and Rabbi Chaim Vital. This is incredible. Rabbi Chaim Vital, they just went to visit his kever in Damascus. Right? If it is not possible to recite these passages before Shachrit, one can do it after Shachrit before taking off the tefillin. Look at number 31. The custom of saying that while wearing them is brought down also in Shnei Luchot Brit. The Bach likewise related in his mentor of Weiss used to recite it every single day while wearing tefillin. So it is commended to recite all four passages every single day, since the mitzvah tefillin is mentioned in them. The Rav Chida brings word tzadikim. I find manuscripts the name of the Ramban. L'chaim Vital, that everyone is recited to say all 4 passages every single day. Accomplished this by reading the Pesukim of Kadesh Vayachi Vehaya before beginning Baruch Shema, since their position in the Torah is before Shema and Ve'avta, meaning that you should try to read it in order. So if you read it in order, you do Kadesh Vayachi Vehaya and then Ve'avta and then Vayayim Shema, because that's the order. So he says that that's the order in the Torah. Those 2 are brought down in Parashat Bo, right? The end of Parashat Bo is Kadesh Vayachi Vehaya. Where's Vavta? In Devarim, right? In Vayet Chanan. And where's Vaya? In Ekev, which is the parasha after. You understand? So he comes now and he says that Kavachim Sofer added that the instructions to recite before Baruch Shema do not mean that one must not recite them earlier. On the contrary, do it at the beginning, even before Akedat Yitzchak. The idea of Baruch before Baruch Shema is that one begins Baruch Shema is forbidden to interrupt. Again, everyone pointed out the Sifri that he says that Shema and Vaya, right? He says. Are recited but not Kadesh Vayachi Vehaya. This means that he explained there's no obligation to recite them at all. Okay? By the way, we do it right before Hashem Elech. Look what it says here. The Chaim Valacha brings down, it would be wonderful if all countries would adopt the practice of saying it right before Hashem Elech. In this way, even ignorant people and others who might have forgotten can still do this custom. It would be fine if they would recite the Psukim after the Shachrit as well. And all that matters is that they are saying it while they're still wearing tefillin. The best way, however, is to say it in the proper order. This is the custom observed in the community of Lurka, right? It means the Syrian communities in the diaspora follow the custom of reciting Kadesh right just before Hashem Elech, and also Moroccans. I don't know why he doesn't bring it down, but it's also Moroccans as well. Okay, it's also Syrians and also Moroccans. Halacha Kaf Hey. Okay, while fulfilling the mitzvah of Shnai Mikra V'Chatagum for Parashat Bo, it is permissible to say the Psukim HaKadosh Bechon Vayachi V'Yecha while not wearing tefillin. This is not considered giving false testimony, since one is just reading the Torah. Meaning, if you're doing a mitzvah, and then in that mitzvah, you're not wearing tefillin, that could be made to do sheker about small. If you're just reading the Torah, you're learning Torah. That has nothing to do with the you may do the sheker and small. That's brought down in the Kavachim Sofer, Minyan Olam. What about Shema and Vayayim Shema is part of Shnai Mikra V'Chatagum? The poskim only mentioned Kadesh Bechol Bechol Vayachi V'Yecha. What about Shema Vayayim Shema? Upon researching the source of the halacha in the Minyan Olam, it becomes clear that these words are also right who suggested that it should be necessary to wear tefillin during these things, since they include the psukim of tefillin. The author responded that since the person is only reading the psukim of the Torah, it's not a declaration of the mitzvah, he's not guilty. To prove this point, the author argued that if the halacha would be as the questioner assumed, the Gemara would have said that anyone who says a pasuk in the Torah of tefillin would be chayav of the tefillin, meaning that if you don't have the tefillin on. Since the Gemara only says anyone who says Shema, so it's obvious that the problem only arises when you're saying Kriyat Shema, not just that you're learning Torah. Following this reason, it becomes clear that this ruling applies not only to Kadesh Lichol Bechor Vayachi V'Yecha, it also applies to Shema and Vayayim Shema. So it's not necessary to have tefillin when you're doing the Shnai Mikra V'Echad Targum. When is the ideal time for Shnai Mikra V'Echad Targum? Look on the bottom of 43. It says over there, the Rishon LeZion says, one may fulfill it any time on Friday or Sunday or Saturday morning until one eats Shabbat morning meal. And if one failed to do it until that time, he could still do it afterwards. Nevertheless, according to the Rizal HaKadosh, you should do it Friday before Shabbat begins. The Kavachim Sofer testified that the Rizal HaKadosh used to finish it to do it Friday immediately after Shachrit, and that's when you're supposed to do it according to him. Okay, even when you're still with the Talit and Tefillin. Fine. Halacha Kaf Vav 26. Preparing intellectually for the mitzvah. When putting on the tefillin, we have to have in mind that Hashem commanded us to put on these 4 parchments, which is Kadesh Lichol Bechor, Vayachi V'Yecha, Shema Vayayim Shema, on our arms and on our heads. These passages emphasize that God is one, and He brought us out of Egypt. In this way, we are going to remember the miracles and the wonders He performed on our behalf, and which demonstrated that He is one, and that He has total control over everything on every level of existence. Thus, we subject our souls which are situated in our brains and our hearts, which are the seats of our desires and emotions and God's service, we will then remember our Creator and limit our indulgence on physical pleasures. Look at number 33. These instructions are found in the Shulchan Aruch. Regarding almost all the mitzvot, all other mitzvot, one must think the fact that you're doing a particular mitzvah. Regarding the mitzvah of tefillin, you have to have much more. Meaning tefillin is not just stam like a regular mitzvah. There's much more of what to think about it in, right, the tefillin. Okay, right, exactly, in your mind. Okay. So now he comes and he says like this. He says, the Bach explained that the mitzvah tefillin is unique because the Torah says that the tefillin are a sign. And therefore, we have to actually dedicate ourselves to the gratitude of taking out of Mitzrayim, Yitziat Mitzrayim. There are two other mitzvot that require also such a thing. It's going to be tzitzit and sukkah. When you fill the mitzvah tzitzit and sukkah, there's a very famous Bach, also in Ilchot Sukkah. Okay, the Shulchan Aruch explained also the same thing. And many Acharonim, right, they rule that when they're fulfilling the mitzvah of eating bread in the sukkah, right, on the first evening of Sukkot, one must have in mind that this is the memory of our Yitziat Mitzrayim. These three mitzvot are unique because the Torah actually specifically tells us that we have to think of these concepts. The Torah says by tzitzit, right? Leman tizkiru, right? You have to remember, right? It's called mitzvotayim that I took you out of Mitzrayim. And the same thing by tefillin and also by talit. Okay, that's tzitzit. Let's see now. Although we are supposed to think of all these things when putting on tefillin, if someone put them on thinking that he's fulfilling mitzvah tefillin, he also fulfilled his obligation. Last halacha, number 27. Before saying the bracha of tefillin, it's commendable to recite the l'shem yichud. In the case of the tefillin, one should spell out the ideas listed in the previous halacha as part of l'shem yichud. As explained above, there's never an obligation to say, right, the l'shem yichud before performing any mitzvah. For the reader's convenience, here is a translation of the ideal text of the l'shem yichud passage before putting on the tefillin, for the sake of the unity of the concepts of kudsha b'richu and shechina, with fear and love and fear, to unite the name Yud Ke Vav Ke. He's complete unity. For the sake of all of Israel, I am about to fulfill the mitzvah to say the positive commandment, putting on the tefillin on my arm and my head. This is what Hashem commanded us to do. I am going to recite these blessings to cover the mitzvot shel tefillin shel yod v'tefillin shel rosh. His kavanah is going to remember Yitziat Mitzrayim and to subject ourselves, our soul, with my brain and heart to worship HaKadosh Baruch Hu, right? Baruch Hu. And he says, I'm going to pray before HaKadosh Baruch Hu, Melech Malchem Melachim HaKadosh Baruch Hu, to consider this act as if I had all the intentions properly, when the pleasantness, right, the nachat ruach, and to be done to HaKadosh Baruch Hu, please direct our deeds and make them successful. This text is a combination of text, right, of the Od Yosef Chai, the Klachim Sofer. One curious fact is that the sentence of consider that I already thought consciously of the intentions appears in the Od Yosef Chai, but not in the Kav Chaim. This sentence is standard as part of the text of the Shem Yichud compiled by the Ben Ish Chai in most instances. A prime example is the Shem Yichud also before doing Birkat Mazon. Another curious fact is that the Kav Chaim includes the pasuk of the psukim of the Tefillin. The Od Yosef Chai includes instead the pasuk of Vehaya im Shamoah, right? But not the other ones. Okay. Now he says 37 is already the next halacha.